Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Reopening Together industry event. I know that right now, every moment of your day is critical, and I want to thank you all for joining us so that we can take these first steps in rebooting the tourism industry together. As citizens, we have come to understand the effects of COVID-19 in every detail across every aspect of society. But as an industry, we have an insight into the deep impact that this pandemic has had that is completely unparalleled. Within weeks, this industry that had been operating at record levels and employing over a 250,000 of people was faced with not only health, but also economic challenges that jeopardized the survival of businesses and thousands of livelihoods. We know that this crisis has not only impacted your business, it has reached into your daily lives, your families, and the fabric of your communities. From the beginning of the pandemic, Fáilte Ireland has worked hard to provide supports through our COVID-19 support hub, where you can find webinars, courses, and advice on finance, on HR, insurance, guidance on various government supports, and much, much more. We have had excellent engagement and feedback on these supports, with over 200,000 visits to the support hub. Through speaking to hundreds of tourism businesses and sector groups on a weekly basis, we try to get the best understanding of these rapidly evolving challenges and also to continue to offer the best support we can. In addition to these direct consultations, we have established a Fáilte Ireland COVID-19 advisory group with leaders from across the industry. This has been an invaluable forum to both help Fáilte Ireland put in place the supports we could, but also to channel feedback from industry into wider government. We participate and fully support the work on the Tourism Recovery Task Force, and Fáilte Ireland will continue to provide support for and raise awareness of the issues facing every area of the tourism industry, both with our department and with wider government. So today, firstly, we're going to look at the latest consumer insights and unveil the new COVID-19 Safety Charter, which will help instill public confidence in the safety standards of tourism and hospitality businesses. Secondly, we will share with you a major new domestic marketing campaign that will be a key part of our recovery plan. Thirdly, you will also be getting a sneak preview of the new DiscoverIreland.ie website. And finally, we will give you a full overview of our business supports initiatives. Once again, thank you for joining us today, and I would like to introduce Liz Halpin, who will speak to you about the work we are doing across the Dublin region.
Thanks, Paul. Good morning, everybody. I'm absolutely delighted to be greeting you this morning from the centre of Dublin City. I'm standing currently in the historic house gardens of Newman House, and behind me you will see the beautiful building, which is the home to Molly, one of the most recently opened attractions in Dublin. I'm delighted that so many of you have been able to log in this morning to our virtual roadshow, Reopening Together, and we plan this morning to outline coming months to help you open safely and successfully. We all know the devastating impact that COVID-19 has had across the country and indeed has had to the tourism industry. We don't underestimate the challenges ahead, and there's a lot of work to do to get us back to growth and profitability. But I know that by working together, we will absolutely do this. Over the last number of months, we have spoken to individual businesses, we've talked to industry sectors, we've spoken to stakeholder groups. We know how important the domestic market is now, as the international market will be slower to come back on stream, and the focus of much of the content this morning is informed by that to address the specific requirements people have told us that they have. But before I hand over to the speakers, I just want to give you a sense about what myself and the Dublin team, many of whom I'm sure you know personally, will be working on in the next weeks and months. However, we will also continue our daily and regular contacts with businesses, with groups representing various organisations, and also with stakeholders to make sure that we deep dive into the needs and the business requirements, and that we look to set in place interventions and supports that help us navigate our way to reopening and beyond. At a destination level, many of you may be familiar that we do have a Dublin working group, a coordination group in place with representation across the city. In the last couple of weeks, we have invited additional members to join that group, and together we will work as a Dublin Recovery Task Force over the next 10 to 18 months. The idea behind this group is that we have a coordinated approach to recovery, and that we identify and work to remove any roadblocks that we collectively face along the way. Collaboration is the key to this whole thing, and we need to work collectively across the city to make sure that we give visitors the best experience possible, that we cross-sell, that we cross-promote, and that every single person that comes into the city has a great sense of what the city has to offer, from the hidden gems for Dubliners themselves to some of the bigger attractions that people may always have wanted to visit. Dublin has so much to offer, and over the coming months we will be telling people about it. So first up of the speakers this morning is Jill de Azevedo, who is our Head of Insights. And Jill will speak to you about the great work that she and her team have been doing over the last number of months, speaking to consumers to get a better understanding of exactly what the domestic visitor is looking for. She has also done specific research for Dublin, which she'll take you through in more detail. Next up then will be Kerry, our registrar, and Tara did a lot of work. For many of you will be familiar with the guidelines introduced a few weeks ago in collaboration with industry sectors. Tara has now focused on the COVID-19 Safety Charter, and this morning she'll give you more details about that and give you an outline of how you can register your business to that charter. Next up then, Levins, who is our Head of Marketing Communications, will give you an overview of all of the campaigns that she and the team have been working on, which will go live in the coming weeks. Firstly, Ali will talk to you about the safety campaign, and we know from research that reassurance and safety is paramount in people's minds at the moment, and Ali will speak to you about the campaign we have to support that. She will also speak to you about the national campaign where Dublin will be featured to encourage people from around the country to come to Dublin as a city break. She will also speak to you then more specifically about a campaign targeting Dubliners. We know again from speaking to people that there is a huge opportunity here, so there will be a campaign entirely focused to that end. Next we'll have Cadogan, and Claire and the team have been working on a revamp of the Discover Ireland website, and she'll talk you through that with a sneak peek and more details. But she'll also talk to you about Visit Dublin and how Visit Dublin will be beneficial to your business as we move into the recovery phase. Lastly then we'll have Martina Bromley, whose team have done a huge amount of work on the support hub that many of you I'm sure have accessed over the last number of months. Initially when we hit this crisis, Martina and the team developed a suite of business supports that Paul Kelly has spoken about earlier, and now she has set her sights on what we need for recovery, so she'll talk you through that roadmap in a little bit more detail. So finally then we will have a breakout session at the end for Q&A. We will have some of the speakers who have spoken to you this morning on that panel, and I'm delighted to say Paul Kelly will also join. So if there's any particular questions that you have that you want to raise this morning, please do so, and we'll cover as many as we can as we progress through the morning. There's a lot of information in what you're going to see today. There's a lot of content. So if you've missed anything or if you want to see anything again, just to reassure you that we have recorded everything, so it will be available to you to review at your leisure. And finally, without further ado, I just again want to welcome you and thank you for your attendance this morning, and hand over to Jill as she talks through the work that she and the team have done on research and insights for Dublin.
Thanks, Liz. I'm Jill de Azevedo, and I head up the Consumer Insights and Planning team at Fáilte. We've been really privileged to be doing an enormous amount of research since the end of February on consumers and tracking what COVID-19 has meant for their lives, the impact on their lives, and importantly, what does this mean for the various sectors that we are involved in. A lot of the insights, a lot of the research that we've engaged in have been critical in forming the recovery plan, which you're going to hear a fair amount of during the course of this morning. So critical to all of this has been understanding the emotions, what is going on in people's worlds, how have they been feeling about COVID-19 during the last few months. We know the framework is very much the virus, the implications on health, safety and security, but we've seen two core themes that have remained really stable over this period, and that's the level of anxiety and that's concerns about finance. Level of anxiety is always going to be there. This is a bit of an unknown as the roadmaps opens up, and as we engage in the different phases, we are all still nervous about what is that going to look like, how is that going to feel. And as we move through the rest of this presentation, I think it's critical that we bear in mind the need for safety and the need for security when it comes to consumers. And you'll see in their own words, there are a lot of things that they're talking about when it comes to this particular area that are important to them. So we do know there is a level of excitement, there's a level of desire for people to actually get out there and to start doing the things that they usually would, underpinned by this anxiety and framed by the need for safety. So we see people talking about the importance of social distancing. What does that mean for them? We see them talking a lot about safety and the implications that means for safety environments. And really interesting, the desire to be able to see what different businesses, so whether it be restaurants, hotels, pubs, activities, attractions and so on, what they are actually doing very visibly to make sure that environments are safe for them. So using the consumer journey is a great framework and a great way of actually looking at what is happening in consumers' lives and how close they are to booking holidays, what their intent looks like, what the barriers and enablers are in this particular process, and of course what people are looking to experience when they go on their breaks and their holidays this year. We do see, really interestingly, intent is now sitting at 57%. We've seen a sharp increase and a sharp rise in that over the last 2 weeks. And that has been a typical pattern that we have seen in all of our data. The consumers tend to react and tend to move with the various phases as they open up. So consumers are starting to move beyond the dreaming, the surfing the net, the having a look at all the gorgeous places that they can go to seriously considering and planning a holiday, which is a space that they haven't been in before. I do, however, need to caution that within that intent piece, we are still 11% down versus a year ago. So we are not at the numbers that we have been, and we are not going to replace the international visitor, and we're certainly not going to replace the value that the international visitor brings to the category. When we have a look at unlocking the different barriers to intent and what's stopping people from travelling, we see two critical measures coming through. And they're not new because I've just mentioned them. That is the finance and that is safety and security. And concerningly, we've seen finance creep up very consistently over the course of this research. 91% of our consumers now talking about the fact that they're very worried about the impact of COVID-19 on their finances. We know people have lost their jobs. Our industry is incredibly close to the dynamic that is happening right now. But people are very worried about spending their money. As a nation, in the last 10 years, Irish consumers have become more conservative with their money. So we have great savings. We know we're at record levels right now, but people are holding that just to make sure that they're ameliorating against everything that is coming. And of course, within that, the need for safety. So what we've seen is as the government roadmap is unlocked, as, for example, our guidelines have been introduced, this relaxation a little bit around that need for safety, but that's very much aligned with the expectation that things will be kept safe for them. So I've talked a little bit about the barriers, but in fact those barriers are enablers. They are the things that consumers are going to be looking for to make their decision or to help inform their decision as to whether or not they are going to travel this year. So health and safety, absolutely a critical barrier. People want to see the hand sanitizers. They want to know that hotels, restaurants and pubs have all the relevant procedures and processes in place to keep those environments safe. Finance is also a barrier, but also that enabler. We have an opportunity to create great value for our consumers and look at that whole value equation and what that means. So do we have the opportunities, for example, to build partnerships, involve in various different levels of collaboration across experiences and activities, and that will all help our consumer to move beyond the barriers that they currently have. Booking behaviour is probably the one thing that's been a little slower to move. So while people have been in their dreaming and their intent phase, it hasn't converted as strongly as we would like in terms of actual bookings. Those bookings are very strongly related, again, to the barriers that we are seeing in place. Now, it is really interesting because one of the things that we do see in this category is that intent and booking behaviours are highly correlated. We're not seeing this time round. And if you look at that within the framework of COVID-19, it starts to make sense as to why people are slower off. And in fact, what's really interesting is we've seen a 2 to 3 week lag with consumers moving their behaviour post roadmaps, post openings, into actual behaviour. So their intent might be there, but the actual behaviour isn't there. So we only have about 16% of our consumers who are telling us that they have booked their holiday or elements of their holiday this year. The good news, however, within that is that we have seen 40% of those consumers claiming to have made those bookings in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So we are seeing this shift, and we are going to see this shift a lot more over the next few weeks. So when we have a look at where people want to stay, the pattern is completely normal. It is as it has always been within our industry. Hotels remain the primary choice for accommodation, followed by the self-catering, both paid and and elements where people can go and stay at their own holiday homes, etc. Hotels have a fascinating dynamic. There is a general consensus among our consumers that hotels will have the right policies, that have the right procedures in place, that allow people to feel comfortable, to feel safe. And of course, many families have been stuck with their kids over the last few months, and just the fact that they may not have to cook or they have access to activities like swimming pools, give people a bit of a break, is really important for many families as to why they are choosing hotels. And we do see that that skew is towards younger families in this particular space. We, of course, see self-catering coming through and people having their own holiday homes, etc., that they are going to. And people are choosing self-catering because there is a sense that they themselves are then in control of the cleanliness and their safety environment. Of course, there is a question of, does the owner of a self-catering unit apply the right guidelines, apply those right strictures, and in managing it all for consumers. But generally, the point that we want to bring home is this hasn't changed. It's one of the elements that indicates just business as usual, normalisation of behaviour. So where are consumers going? We've seen 3 distinct patterns start to emerge as we look at the kind of trips that people are going to be engaging in. There is day tripping, there are short breaks, and there are long breaks. The day tripping is really interesting because people are saying to us that they're going to stay at home, but yes, they'd love to get out and explore their immediate surrounds and see and engage in different activities that they may not traditionally have gone to because of a worry of overcrowding and so on. Day trips are centred around the areas that you would normally see. Dublin is the epicentre of a lot of that, but you see that coming through in the likes of Waterford, Cork and Galway in particular. When we move into the short breaks opportunity, you see these territories expanding. So you see people moving into the likes of Kilkenny, up north into Mayo, Sligo. So there's definitely a bigger spread when it comes to the short breaks. They are the typical places that we would see people going to for short breaks. So it's part of that tried and tested pattern that we do experience with our consumers going back to the places they know, they love, they trust. When it comes to longer journeys, Donegal definitely comes into the mix, and pretty much the whole of the wild Atlantic way. People love spending their summer breaks in that part of the world and experiencing all the beauty and all the different attractions that is offered out in that side of Ireland. What are people looking for when it comes to their short breaks? Reconnection is one of the most important pieces. We've all spent the last few months being sort of forced to connect with our own immediate families, and we've all run with a lot of stresses and day-to-day challenges. This is the opportunity to reconnect with family and friends in particular in a different way, in a more joyful way, in a more fun way. It's also the opportunity to just take a deep breath and relax. There have been so many stresses. Just that opportunity to take that time out is really important for our visitors. People are very keen to go back to the places they know and they trust. This is part of the safety element, where people feel that they can control environments because of the safety and security. There's also an element of just getting out, exploring, and seeing a bit more of Ireland than perhaps people have been able to in the last few months. What are our consumers looking to do when they're actually out there? Nothing, again, has changed in this pattern. However, we have seen areas like outdoor activities become more important and the base of those outdoor activities widen. So we have seen more outdoor activities coming in, whether that be extreme sports, whether that be in gardens, or just generally hiking, walking, and engaging with our national parks. Makes a lot of sense. We perceive ourselves as being safer in those environments. Great for families and kids because kids can run around and get off all that energy. But generally, it is the pattern that we've always engaged in when it comes to the kinds of activities out there. Interestingly, when it comes to indoor activities, we do see a desire to go to castles and homes, museums coming much further down the list. There is a lot of concern and there is some nervousness about going into indoor activities, and that's driven by the desire to make sure social distancing is in place, that again the right safety measures are in place. And in our own consumers' words, if I'm being taken through a castle and you're locking me into a room with a number of other people, that makes me uncomfortable. So understanding the guidelines, understanding the procedures that we're putting into place when it comes to things like the various attractions, again, is going to be so important to encourage consumers to come back into that space. So Liz has talked a lot about the importance of Dublin to us and the role that Dublin can play in opening up experiences and attractions and drawing visitors into the area. We saw that it's a prime target for day tripping, and obviously we want to understand what the opportunities are to increase that and to drive bed nights. We have done a fair amount of work into Dublin over the last few months, and there are a couple of very key learnings. Dubliners themselves love the city, we know that, and they see it as very cultural, as very vibrant, as having an enormous range of activities, whether that be in the coastline, whether it be walking in the Dublin hills, lots of outdoor, lots of indoor, so lots of things to actually engage in. They also really interestingly, along with other domestic consumers in the market, see Dublin the same way that international consumers do. I think we often have this conversation about domestic consumers may be different to international consumers. We actually have very similar need states. We actually have a desire to engage in very similar behaviours. So generally, domestic consumers or domestic visitors will see Dublin as engaging, as warm, as welcoming, as vibrant. They know that there are a lot of activities to do. So apart from the shopping trips, which are always going to happen, they do know that they can go to a host of other museums and a host of other opportunities. The critical thing for Dublin is going to be making sure that when tourists come to the city, they understand where they can go, how to find things, and that we are marketing the awareness of the activities that are out there. I want to wrap up with this one last slide because this really brings it together. So we have talked about an anxiety, an underlying sentiment that is driving our behaviour. We've talked about a real desire and an excitement to get out and about. We've talked significantly about the barrier of safety. And if we focus on these two areas, plus building in a level of experience, understanding how we can engage with our consumers more and bring experiences to life, these are going to be critical opportunities in our recovery plan. So thanks very much, everybody. I hope that this has given you an overview of what is going on in consumers' minds, what they are thinking about, their fears, both their fears around safety, but also their opportunities and their excitements and the desires out there. Critical to our recovery plan is going to be focusing on that intent, getting our consumers out there travelling and encouraging them to travel and developing the kind of experiences that are going to be enjoyable and useful. And of course, very importantly in this is making sure that we are keeping the constraints, the financial constraints at the back of our heads when it comes to things like pricing and building value into different experiences. I'm now going to hand over to Tara and she will take you through some of the interesting areas that we've been developing in the safety territory.
Thank you, Jill. Good afternoon, all. My name is Tara Kerry and I'm the Accommodation Development Manager within Fáilte Ireland, and I'm here today to talk to you about COVID-19 Safety Charter. So, to give you a little bit of context first and foremost, Fáilte Ireland research shows visible health etiquette in businesses and safe breaks are strong motivating themes as people plan their domestic holiday this year in 2020. 87% of consumers want to ensure that the appropriate safety measures are in place where social distancing or physical distancing and the relevant hygiene protocols are absolutely obvious to them. So there is now an emotional need for safety, and tourism businesses are on the front line of providing this. The COVID-19 Safety Charter will help instill public confidence in the safety standards of tourism and hospitality businesses as the sector reopens across the country over the coming weeks. So Fáilte Ireland issued sector-specific operational guidelines for tourism businesses on June 9th, in line with government public health advice. So the guidelines were drafted in consultation with trade bodies and associations. We also worked with a number of state agencies and departments, which included LEAF, HSE, the FSAI and others, as well as our parent department, the Department of Transport, Tourism and Sport. The important thing to remember about our guidelines when you view them on the FáilteIreland.ie website is they're all living documents. These documents will evolve as public health advice changes. So, how will all of this work? Well, businesses first and foremost will sign up to the Fáilte Ireland Charter through the FáilteIreland.ie website. A lot of you watching this today will be very familiar with the FáilteIreland.ie registration pages. You'll have signed up for programmes and you will have signed up for various courses, etc. So it's a very simple process to follow. All staff members within your business, and when I say all staff members, I mean all staff members that have returned to work, will have to complete a 40-minute infection prevention control for tourism businesses course. Now, this course was developed with a well-respected professional in infection control. Those that are signing up for the charter, the businesses, must also confirm that they have read and are following the Fáilte Ireland guidelines for reopening that I mentioned earlier for their particular subsector. Now, once 100% of employees who return to work have completed the course, the businesses will receive a charter to display in the premises as well as some online resources, but a little bit more about that later on. Infection prevention control for tourism businesses, a little bit of a mouthful, but it's an important title because it relays exactly what this course is going to be. So why have Fáilte Ireland designed this course? Well, we've designed it to ensure and to highlight that tourism businesses' activities and products are compliant with hygiene and cleaning requirements, which will help in the prevention and control of COVID-19. And importantly, it will give consumer confidence in the actual tourism product. We also want to reinforce the confidence of the domestic and international visitor in our tourism businesses. We also want to ensure that all staff and management understand the importance of preventing the spread of infection, any infection, but obviously and very particularly COVID-19, and ensure the safety of their employees and their customers in line with the government's public health advice. So what does this course cover? Well, it covers what is COVID-19. Now, we may all think we know what COVID-19 is, but do we really know what it is? So again, this just gives us a little bit of a refresher. Employer and employee responsibility, very important obviously, the chain of infection, hand hygiene, and that will be key to ensuring that people actually feel comfortable and confident in the tourism business that they are visiting. The customer welcome, physical distancing, cleaning and disinfection, laundry, and obviously food safety. So by the end of this course, everyone will have infection prevention control for tourism businesses. They will understand it. They'll know their role and responsibility in the business. They will have an understanding of basic precautions, be able to demonstrate good hand washing technique, the capability to apply this knowledge to their place of work, keep themselves, their family, their friends, their colleagues, and guests safe. Obviously, that is a very important one, whether it be inside work or outside of work. So following the completion of the course from all staff members who have returned to work within the business at that time, each staff member will receive a certificate of completion. Now, the certificate of completion can only be printed off on your own computer or on their own computer once they have completed a set of questions. So it isn't a matter of just running a video in the background and walking away. People actually have to listen to every word that is said within the course. They have to take it on board because there are little sets of questions throughout the actual course which must be responded to. But at the end of the course, there are approximately 20 questions which must be answered and must be completed to 100%. Otherwise, we cannot issue the individual staff member with a certificate, and also we can't issue the property with the charter. So what will the business or the property receive? It'll receive a charter which is valid for 1 year. Pins and other physical assets, and again these are very important because the consumer is going to be looking for evidence that people have completed courses like this. A digital suite of assets for downloading, social assets. Now we do this to instill consumer confidence in the business that these assets should be displayed wherever possible, physically in the physical building, but also on social media, and they should be prominently displayed. Be proud of them because you and your business have completed this course and have completed all the steps required to actually receive the charter. I would like to wish you all the very best in the reopening of your businesses, and I would now like to pass over to Ali Levins to bring it to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tara. So now you've heard all about the COVID-19 Safety Charter. I'm going to share with you what it actually looks like and the plans for a consumer media campaign to ensure that all adults across Ireland will know what it is when they see it when they're out and about. We knew from Jill's research earlier on that she shared that there are very clear direction in terms of what this logo should look like. We know that the word COVID is really important. We need to be quite specific in the circumstance that consumers want to know that we're talking about COVID safety. We know that the tick is a really important symbol that symbolises people feeling confident to go. And to move forward. We know the colour green is really important from an industry perspective because it represents Ireland and it represents hospitality and enjoyment. So people want to be reassured so they can enjoy themselves in their tourism experience or in their hospitality experience. And we also know that it's important that consumers know that this is coming from people with or bodies with some credibility like Fáilte Ireland and the Government of Ireland. So this is the logo and the lockup. We've got two versions here to share. The version on the left is the version that will be the main lockup, which has all those elements, including the Fáilte Ireland and the Government of Ireland logo. It's very simple, it's very clean, it's easily identifiable, and it's very distinctive. The logo on the left is just there if you need to put it into a very small space, but we would highly recommend you would use the full lockup as much as possible. Now, when your application has been complete, you will receive a link to a digital toolkit. In that toolkit will be your charter itself. This is a sample of what the charter will look like, and you will be able to display that on your premises. We will also be sending out a starter pack to all businesses who've completed the application form, and in that is some collateral such as decals for windows, staff badges and posters as well. So again, all that's going to be made available to you over the next coming days and coming weeks. In addition to all that material, we will also be launching a consumer campaign. It's a high-reach, mass impact campaign because we know that it's going to be really important to make this as identifiable and as understandable as possible. And the more people who know and recognise this logo, the more of an impact it's going to have in the industry. So with that in mind, we're launching a campaign on the 4th of July, which is give enough time for as many businesses to be up and have their applications completed and to have their collateral in place before we put this out on air. So this is a sample of the press ad. You'll see it's very simple. It's all about making that logo and that symbol as identifiable as possible. The TVC, again, it's very simple. It's just going to talk to how people want to get back out and enjoy themselves and feel reassured. And if you have this logo and this charter in place, that you have committed to following all these preventative protocols and to employee training. So this is just a schedule. It'll launch, I said, on the 4th of July. It'll run through into September. It's across TV, press, radio, and social channels as well. We estimate about 95% of all Irish adults will see this campaign at least 5 times over the coming weeks. So that's the COVID Safety Charter. We know that must be lots of questions. We would encourage you to go to Fáilte Ireland.ie, where there'll be a lot more information, or to use the chat function to ask questions at our Q&A in a little while this morning. So now I'm going to share with you our second campaign that we wanted to share this morning, which is our domestic marketing reopening campaign. Before I share with you the plans for the new domestic marketing campaign for reopening, I just wanted to touch briefly on Keep Discovering, because that was the last time I spoke with a lot of you when we shared our new platform for all our advertising. And we launched Keep Discovering in February this year, almost 2 weeks before lockdown happened, and we had a tremendous response. And I just wanted to reassure you that Keep Discovering will still be our long-term campaign for domestic holidaymakers. We had a tremendous response. As I said, we were even trending #1 on launch weekend, and that was thanks to your tremendous support. And Keep Discovering will be back on air later on in the year. And in fact, we're going out and we're filming a lot more content for Keep Discovering across the country, across July, August and September this year. But we did know that it probably was a message that we needed to have a slightly different message for this, unique time that we're facing into. We know from Jill's research that consumers are looking for this balance of safety and desire. The Keep Discovering message was all about that 75% of Irish people who go back to the same place on holidays every year and trying to encourage them to do something different. However, we know at the moment that what people are craving is reassurance and familiarity and a connection with those places and people that they love the most. So it didn't feel quite appropriate to have a Keep Discovering message just for this next couple of months. Hence, we're going to share with you a slightly different creative proposition. There isn't a person on this island that hasn't been impacted by COVID. And one of the things that we know is that COVID has stolen something from everybody. And the way we would like to say is at the moment is that Ireland has probably never felt bigger to people. And it's never felt bigger physically, in the sense that getting into your car and driving down to Bantry from Dublin will be like going to Bali, in terms of, the sense of distance and, the scale of that journey. But it also will feel bigger emotionally. People love Ireland and they love holidaying in Ireland. And one of the things that we know is that this is going to be the holiday of a lifetime. You are never going to forget the first holiday that you've taken post-COVID and post-lockdown. Whether it's a pint in your favourite pub, a picnic on your favourite beach, as they say, these are priceless memories that we're about to create and make over the coming months. So we really wanted to capture that, and so that we would have communications that would really resonate with people. This idea of it never feeling bigger and that COVID has stolen something from everyone really does resonate with all our key audiences. If you're a young adult, you've really missed out on a lot of those rituals, whether it's graduations, whether it's festivals, hanging out with your friends and socialising in summer months. If you're a family, you've probably been cooped up at home, trying to balance homeschooling and work at the same time and not seeing your kids enjoy the freedom that they need to thrive on. And if you are an older adult who have spent, who've just reclaimed some of their independence and you've kind of have the house back to yourself, but probably the last few months the house has been full of boomerangers and you've been caught between that and also probably looking after cocooners as well. So there isn't a person on the island that hasn't been impacted and that is craving a sense of autonomy and freedom and about, getting back to those things that they enjoy and love the most. And that's why we believe that this creative proposition of Ireland Make a Break for It is really the right message for today. We think it's got a tonality of fun and humour, and it is very Irish. And it is about a positive reclaiming something. It's about a sense of ownership, and it is a sense of, urgency. So make a break for it, get out there and have that holiday of a lifetime over the next couple of months. To bring this to life, we have a huge mass impact campaign launching this weekend. We've been able to pull everything forward so that we are going to be ready to go on Sunday in advance of opening. We'll be investing over €2.5 million over the summer months, and it'll be on all channels: TV, radio, print, digital, social, PR. We are going to be big with this Make a Break for It campaign. Now, to share some of that content with you, I want you to cast your mind back a minute. These are some images that are familiar to everyone who's been looking at the news over the last couple of months, whether it's people queuing to get into Woodies, or staying up overnight to get to Pennies, or being in a car queue for 2 hours to get to a McDonald's drive-through. sense of anticipation you can see that people have for getting back to some of those familiar things that they love and enjoy. Well, imagine how people are going to feel this weekend when they can get to go and explore the whole country. And that's what we wanted to capture. We know that the best brands and the best communications are those that capture the cultural context. And hence we wanted to capture a little sense of what people are going to be feeling and anticipating this weekend. So what I want to share with you now is a piece of film that we'll launch on Sunday, and we hope that you enjoy it as much as we do. So the big moment. I hope you saw yourself in there. I know I certainly saw myself and my family. And we think it's a light-hearted look that captures that joy of going on holidays. And that we know that's one of the things people love the most, is that getting ready. So it's a bit of fun, it's very Irish, and it really captures that idea of making a break for it. We will have radio ads for all our 4 regional experience brand ads that talks a little bit more about some of the destinations and other things that people will be enjoying, and they will rotate in over the coming months as well. And then to further bring this to life on social and digital channels, well, I'm sure a lot of you have had a world that's sort of shrunken down a little bit over the last couple of months. So if you've been having to make do with the boat and the bath, imagine how it's going to feel when you can get out onto the open seas on a ferry going and seeing dolphins. If you're a golf lover and putting up with, a bit of putting practice in the kitchen, can you close your eyes and imagine how incredible it will feel and how big Ireland is going to be when you're on a links or on a golf course that's dotted all over the country. And if your house has been anything like mine, and there's been a lot of the Minecraft type of castles, well, imagine how great that's going to be to get out with your family and to explore the incredible built heritage that we have all over this magnificent country of ours. So make a break for it. So, to supplement the TV and the social, we have our biggest ever print and press campaign launching this Sunday. The print is going to be every week for the next 12 weeks. It's going to be double-page spreads, single-page spreads in all the leading titles. We're going to have kicking off with Ireland content, which I'll share with you in a minute, and then we will go into regional experience brand content as well. So this is a sample of the Ireland ad. This will go into the papers this weekend, and we will move over the next couple of weeks into regional experience brands. So this is an example of the Wild Atlantic Way ad, and it'll be focusing on some of those key destinations and things to do. Again, it's about reassuring people, giving them information to inform them of things that will be open, things that they can do and see and enjoy when they go on their holidays in Ireland over the coming months. And this is an example of a magazine ad, which will go more specifically into a particular destination. And to supplement the print and press campaign, we have 2 inserts going out. These are 16-page inserts, and we haven't done these in a number of years, but there are 16-page inserts with circulation of 1.2 million. The first will go out at the end of July, and the second will go out later on in the summer, end of August, early September. And this really gives an opportunity for as many businesses across the country to showcase their offering and their availability to the Irish domestic holidaymaker. We have a partnership with Virgin Media that will go live mid-July, and this is a 5-week programme where we will be embedding and integrating the messaging around Make a Break for It across a lot of their signature TV shows on their digital channels as well. And this is all about encouraging with high reach and high frequency. We'll be able to do advertorial and editorial content here, and using some of their on-air talent to tell stories and reassure people that yes, you can go on holiday, yes, there are places open and things to do, and yes, you're going to have a great time and be welcomed. We also have an exciting partnership with RTE that we will be sharing a little bit more of in the next couple of days, but needless to say, RTE have been a great partner and a great supporter, and this is something that we're very excited about, but as I said, we'll be sharing more in the next couple of days. We also have digital publishing partnerships with DMG Media and Levins.ie. These are two of the largest publishing digital platforms in the country. And this will enable us to reach people with much richer, deeper content. So, for example, we will have articles and native articles from county contributors. We'll have bespoke county guides, and we'll have snackable video pieces as well. So this is a way for us to, have a lot deeper and richer content as well. From a PR perspective, we know these first couple of weeks are going to be critical. People want to be reassured, and what better way to do that than testimonials from some of Ireland's most famous and well-loved celebrities. So we have a campaign, an army of campaign ambassadors, and this is just a selection of the first few, who are delighted to work with Fáilte and to be supporting the industry at this really important time. So you'll have the likes of Brian and Pippa O'Connor, Anna Geary, Even Garahy, Greg O'Shea, all out over the next couple of weeks, making a break for it and sharing their stories on all their social platforms. And we think that's going to be really important to make this really visible and high profile, trusted testimonials. We also know that we want to share some stories from real life people, and in particular we're focusing on frontline workers. So we know that the benefit, the mental health benefits of taking a holiday are tremendous. And so for people who've been under incredible stress over the last number of months, people like nurses and doctors and retail workers and teachers, we're looking forward to sharing some of their stories and the incredible time that they're going to have out and about making a break for it across Ireland as well. And then later into July, we're going to go into a programme of focusing on a county a day, and we will tie in with our own channels, and we will be working with county ambassadors to bring each of the counties across Ireland to life in terms of what they offer from a tourism and hospitality perspective. So finally, just to wrap up, it's a significant campaign, Make a Break for It, €2.5 million being invested over the coming months. It's across all channels. We're hoping to make this famous and effective, and we're really looking forward to working with you. We're going to rely on your help to get us information as to what's open and what's on, and to make sure that you work with our regional heads to get that information back into us and we can feed it through so your businesses will be featured and promoted. We're looking forward to sharing phenomenal stories about people who've had great experiences across the country in your businesses and have an amazing time. So I mentioned earlier how we know consumers are going to think that Ireland has never felt bigger. So, as Jill mentioned earlier, Dublin has some unique challenges at the moment, and we're very conscious of that and wanted to make sure that Dublin is front in mind with Irish domestic holidaymakers. Now, we know Dublin will be very present in the Make a Break for campaign. We also know Dublin's going to feature in the next round of production on Keep Discovering, and we hope to share some really exciting news on Dublin as part of Keep Discovering later on in the year. But we felt there was an opportunity to really make something of the fact that there's 1.2 million people in the Greater Dublin area, and there's an opportunity to get them out and exploring their own city as well. So with that in mind, we have a campaign that is this idea of Dublin's never felt bigger. There is lots to see and do and explore in Dublin, and that people maybe don't even know about at the moment. So we really want to encourage Dubliners to get out and enjoy their city. Again, this is a mass reach campaign. It's going to be on radio, it's going to be publishing partnerships, we're going to have out of home, and a lot of PR and earned across things like Facebook and Instagram, big PR campaign, and a lot of word of mouth as well. And the idea behind this is, again, just to demonstrate the difference between life as it has been for the last few months and all those things that are available to you now in Dublin. So this is an example of a radio ad for Dublin, and it brings to life the contrast between life and lockdown and all that's available on your doorstep in this fabulous capital city of ours. In terms of our partnerships, we're going to be partnering with a number of the biggest radio stations in Dublin, FM 104, Q102, 98 FM, Spin, and we are really going to be working with these publishing and radio partnerships to tell stories about your businesses and to bring together the story and the opportunity for Dubliners to really enjoy Dublin over the coming months. And essentially this is an invitation for people to tour your town. We'll be doing weekly segments that highlight certain neighbourhoods of Dublin and all those things and hidden gems that there are, as well as those icon attractions that we know lots of people probably just take for granted and haven't made the time to get out and explore. So Dublin for Dubliners is the working title on this, really is about encouraging people to tour your town. And this is an example of some of the social content, again, building off the radio ad as well. So Dublin for Dubliners will go live in mid-July. It'll run for about 10 weeks and it'll be in tandem with the Make or Break for It with Dublin content. And after that then, as I said, we'll be moving back into Keep Discovering for Dublin. So we look forward to sharing more with you. We'll have more information in the toolkit that's going to be made available and we will be here to work with you, particularly in the Dublin region over the coming months. And we wanted to leave you just with one more look at our big moment TVC that goes live on Sunday night. And after that, I'll be passing you over to Claire, who's going to take you through exciting plans for DiscoverIreland.ie.
Thanks, Ali. Hello, everyone. My name is Claire Cadogan and I lead the digital marketing team in Fáilte Ireland. And I'm here today to update you on the work that we're doing on the new Discover Ireland website launching later this summer. Plans for visitdublin.com content and, importantly, how you as a tourism business can benefit from these initiatives. It's no surprise to anyone that behaviours, digital trends, technology has been evolving massively in recent years and indeed in recent months. And some of these key trends has really influenced how we've designed our new site. Some of these trends are of interest, I think, to everybody working in the industry. So a growing volume of websites and information sources are out there now, more and more every month that goes by, that people use to help them book, plan ahead, and validate their choices of holiday. There's no one-stop shop, and therefore searching and planning holidays can be an arduous task at times. Linked to that, top 10s and main attractions are easier to find, and these attractions often pay to be more prominent and visible online. The flip of that is that smaller businesses and often free amenities miss out. Personalised online experiences are more common than ever before, so people have higher expectations of how relevant and targeted the content on your website is going to be from the minute they land. Businesses are optimising content and learning a lot more about what people are looking for, so using data to understand and optimise how to really ensure that their visitors, when they come to the site, have a very satisfying experience and get what they find. Leading digital sites are also prioritising high-impact imagery and video, because this makes a really compelling case for your business. It really showcases and sells your business in the best possible light. And equally, we can see that there's a growing proliferation and usage of online travel agents, which can be a useful source of business as part of the overall channel mix. And they're now not just all about accommodation, they're also moving into the area of attractions and activities. Equally, leading sites truly put the visitor needs at the heart of what they do. So helping them to access, as I was saying, what they're looking for very quickly, or else they'll lose interest. It's about providing the right content at the right time on the right device to meet their needs. Mobile, and thinking about mobile as you're designing your content, designing and updating your site is very important. Over 65% of traffic to Irish travel websites comes through mobile. And what that means is, from a technical perspective and from a format and content layout perspective, you really need to bear this in mind when you're designing your site to give the best possible experience online. And last, certainly not least, data is crucial to ensure that the experience and the content is relevant for your visitor. By capturing and understanding visitor data, using tools like Google Analytics, it allows us to tailor our communications and content in a way that was not possible before, helping us to increase relevancy and ultimately visitor numbers, spend and dwell times, both on your site and in location for tourism businesses across Ireland. Face-to-face research was very important as part of our discovery for this project. So we talked to a broad range of visitors, from people in their 20s to more mature visitors, to families and everyone in between, to find out what they enjoyed, what frustrated them, what the gaps were on the whole area of planning, booking and enjoying the best holiday they can. We had some interesting findings in that regard. So we found that at the top of the decision funnel was destinations and interest categories. So people thought first, okay, where am I going to go? So they had a broad idea of where they wanted to hit, but very, very closely to that, they had a particular outcome. So they wanted an active break, a foodie break, a cultural break. And these are two big areas that need to be kind of up front and centre when people, to make the decision-making process even easier. Equally, we found that the domestic visitor craves authenticity and authentic experiences. We see ourselves as visitors, not tourists, when we're on holiday in Ireland. And we're particularly looking for fresh, off the beaten track experiences, particularly free ones, which are often harder to find. And yet these can be the things that make a holiday or a trip truly special. It's against this backdrop that, using the latest advantages in technology, data and insights, that we are creating a useful, usable and beautiful new site to be the trusted go-to source for the best things to see and do on holidays in Ireland. We're harnessing everything that is good about taking a holiday in Ireland, and there's lots, and we're putting it online for visitors to access easily. Because when they decide they want to go kayaking, they want to go adventuring, they want to find new foods and have a foodie break, or just make a break for it with no plan at all, we're here for them. We've created a website that puts visitors at the heart, and you, our tourism industry, front and centre. And here's a sneak peek of what it looks like. So we're moving from quite a busy, cluttered site, particularly on mobile, to more clean layout. The design and layout really helps the ingredients and the content and the imagery to shine, so that people can really get to the heart of booking and planning ahead quicker and easier. We're about to go into another round of consumer research, and also with a panel of industry, to make sure that when we launch the site, it really works brilliantly for everyone. So question is, what's different about our site to others? So what's new? We know that because people search by destinations and need reassurance of the great range of things to see and do in destination, that they want more, and they want more of this information at their fingertips. So we are updating and providing more comprehensive information, highlights, USPs of the area, food and drink options, and things to do for all of the counties in Ireland and for all of the popular tourism destinations across the country, so that we can reassure people they can have a really great time when they go. Equally, we are going to be showcasing authentic experiences and creating that content ourselves. This will be content you won't be finding on any of the other leading sites out there, and we'll be leveraging our unique insights as Fáilte Ireland to add that value. And last, and certainly not least, at a time when referrals and booking matter most, we will be driving referrals in a more effective and efficient way for people who come to our site, bringing them straight to you. And we'll be doing all of that in a way that is designed and streamlined and minimalistic. The site is built to let the content shine, as I was saying, giving the right mix to inspire our visitors to explore more about destinations and the great things to see and do in that location. We are very excited about this opportunity to provide unique local content. We are going to be leveraging our network of Fáilte Ireland employees and local experts to create these tips so that people don't miss out and they really can get the best out of their holidays. So things like local tips for destinations, local tips for businesses, don't miss. You can't miss out on the sunset on this beach. Bring a picnic, bring your friends, bring your family, and enjoy the sunset, the spectacular sunset on the beach when you visit. When you're visiting Schlievely Cliffs, the best way to really experience the drama of those cliffs is to hop on a boat on Teelan Pier and enjoy an unforgettable experience. So tips and value that we can add at every point along the way to make sure people get the most out of their holidays. Equally, user-generated content. So we know that people love sharing their experiences, and it's actually a really compelling way for others to understand what's on offer. So we have some tools and software that will allow us to really harness the best UGC out there for, again, destinations, for businesses, and everything in between that we can upload onto our site to produce a really good shop window and sell your business in the best possible light. So on launch, we will have sections within Discover Ireland that will be linking out to our regional brand sites. So when people are looking for Wild Atlantic Way content, or they're looking for Ireland's Hidden Heartlands content, they will be brought directly through to those sites from Discover Ireland. Later in the year, we will be migrating those sites into the heart of Discover Ireland, taking all of the great content into that central location that will get more visitors collectively and be supported ongoing and throughout the year, benefiting from our advertising and promotional campaigns. Visit Dublin will remain the hub of all Dublin-related content, and visitors will be led through to this content from Discover Ireland from launch. Visit Dublin will retain its own site, as is best practice for capital cities around the world, but we will be creating and curating more content to suit the needs of the domestic visitor over the weeks and months ahead to drive footfall and reinforce Dublin as a short break destination for domestic visitors. In addition to that, for those living closer to Dublin, we'll be stimulating and encouraging day trips. We'll also be working on our search engine optimization to improve ranking for domestic visitors on our search engines. So, all of this is to ensure that you, our industry, show up brilliantly and are bookable for our visitor. There are some actions that we'd love you to pursue after listening to me today to make sure that you are really optimizing your digital footprint. So the first thing I would say is please review and update your listings on DiscoverIreland.ie with particular focus on the quality of the imagery. So we're looking for high-res imagery, we're looking for inviting, compelling imagery, using descriptive copy and concise copy, and making sure that we have the appropriate booking links for your business. We have updated our Get Listed process, so it's a lot easier to use and more streamlined, and you'll find it on FáilteIreland.ie. We'd encourage you to link to our site from yours, driving relevancy and authority on Google, whilst giving your visitor access to all the best things to see and do at one click. Also a reminder that when you've completed your COVID-19 Safety Charter application, your listing will be updated to reflect the badge on the site, which will give further reassurance to your visitors that your business is taking the appropriate care and precautions in this new world. Remember to claim your Google business listing so that you control the information that the visitor sees when they find you on Google, making yourself as accessible and as appealing to potential guests. And last, and certainly not least, be social. Tag in our Discover Ireland and regional brand social channels to increase the reach and relevancy of your content so that we can also share with our communities who are very highly engaged and actively looking for this content and for this to see your businesses in action. So with that, I will say thank you. Thank you for listening. And I'll now leave you with a video to recap on this exciting new initiative and give you more of a sense of the new site. I look forward to working together to unlock the potential of digital in driving the recovery for the tourism industry over the weeks and the months ahead.
Thanks, Claire. Fáilte Ireland's top priority is supporting Ireland's tourism and hospitality businesses to survive, reopen and recover from the catastrophic impact COVID-19 has had on our industry. Over the past number of weeks and months, our enterprise development team has been working hand in glove with the industry to create an extensive range of business supports to guide you through these unprecedented times. These have been developed in consultation with industry experts to meet your most immediate and urgent needs and really help your business reopen and recover effectively. These supports have covered everything from closing down effectively to reopen, managing the HR implications of the crisis, financial recovery supports, guidelines for reopening and ways to optimise your operations, all providing expert advice to industry at a time when they most need relevant and practical direction and support. Now, as we have a firm date to reopen, we are focusing in on the supports that will help businesses to maximise their sales, marketing and digital efforts. It is really all about supporting businesses to drive their sales directly through their own website, through their own CRM and through their sales teams. And most importantly, now aligning those initiatives to the domestic marketing campaign which has been launched in the next couple of weeks. So what will this range of supports look like? Reshaping the experience for the domestic market. There is real potential for businesses to rebuild and reshape their offering for the domestic market, and our supports will focus on saleable experiences. And what does that look like? Crafting a great experience will be very important. Making sure that it is compelling for the domestic market. Ensuring clarity for customers about exactly what your offer and price includes, and most importantly, offering that safety reassurance. You really have to articulate the value-add elements that will give your offer that standout. Most importantly, pricing, break-even point. There will be a pricing calculator with simple instructions on video and supporting guide.
The purpose of the saleable experience document at this time is to achieve confirmed bookings from the domestic market. The saleable experience document plays an important role in putting your destination on the radar of domestic customers, putting your tourism business on the radar of domestic customers, and a really important function of the saleable experience document is that it helps your business stand out in the marketplace by providing absolute clarity on what is for sale and highlighting the value for money that is offered within each experience.
And then most importantly, optimizing web content and SEO to drive that sales conversion. So just to recap, the range of supports will include best practice advice, creating and crafting saleable experiences, and pricing supports for accommodation, activities, attractions, food and drink. We know that the research is telling us that the reconnection and freedom to travel, as well as reassurance and safety, are the main drivers for consumers right now. To ensure businesses get the consumer from a planning mindset to conversion, we have created a suite of supports online, which are about the online content, effectively all about what you can do to promote what's in your shop window. So what does that range of supports look like? Create a value offer. Pricing is all about value and it doesn't have to come cheap. Compelling imagery and video content that brings your messaging to life at a low or no cost. Messaging. Ensure your offers and your messaging is clear and easy to find on the website and is supported through your social media activity. Safety. The reassurance about having fun while feeling safe will never be more important. When consumers are holidaying or visiting with you, make sure to have your COVID safety policy visible on your website. Upselling. What can we do there? Some midweek offers, putting out accommodation plus dining plus activity, upselling and getting that extra revenue stream. And during this period, it's really important to create a standalone landing page that's easy for consumers to access the offers and track bookings from your side. So to recap, your own website can be a powerful sales tool, giving customers the right messages, the right offers and packages, and the reassurance about having fun while feeling safe when holidaying or visiting with you. And really, your website is that engine to convert bookings. And just to get a little taster of some of that expert digital advice, we're just going to hear a little clip from Ian Cleary.
When you've put all the elements of a landing page together, this is what it looks like. Now, this is not a real business, but it will give you an idea of what you need to do to create a compelling offer that drives sales. Our headline is selling an escape for the weekend, and we all certainly need an escape. Now we go into details of the offer and we reframe it with a problem followed by a solution. Spent too long in the house and itching to get out? That's definitely a problem we have. Now, we outline the actual activities available with a good image and a short description. People don't really read long descriptions, so keep them short and snappy. Next is the important part, the actual offers. We have given 3 offers tailored to specific markets and include an incentive to sign up for each offer. In the next section, you want to convince people there's plenty to do and see in the area. They want to get out and about and do other things, so make it clear they will not be bored. And finally, you may have some contact information just in case that offer still doesn't answer all the questions.
Rebooting international leisure sales is also another hugely important area. Businesses are now having to reconsider and make changes to the way you offer experiences for groups to ensure firstly the safety and then the restricted visitor flow in line with current and possible future safety guidelines. What will this mean? You will have to reshape your saleable experiences offer, and you will have to reshape your sales pitch to prepare to meet buyers and negotiate those new experience, new contracts going forward. What does that range of advice look like? Recraft your saleable experience and your sales pitch, giving that reassurance and clarity of message in presenting your value and your price. Generating that compelling content, never more important. An easy-to-use pricing calculator that will help calculate the pricing, negotiations and contracting that's been done online. Also guidance and consideration for writing your terms and conditions for B2B contracting for accommodations, activities and attractions. Tips on preparing and performing in virtual meetings. We'll now have all online sales appointments, so it's including building that business relationship online and getting the most from virtual meetings. And really important, preparing for Virtual Metal, which is one of Ireland's biggest buyers events in Ireland, and that is now going to go online in July, and we're working very closely with the commercial development area to bring that to life. So we've created a range of supports to help industry optimise the sales opportunities from this great event. So just to recap, all of the Fáilte Ireland business supports have been created with inputs from leading experts, industry, regional brands and sectors to deliver practical solutions and advice that directly address the challenges your business is now facing. These are constantly evolving, and all of these supports, whether it's financial, HR, operational guidelines and sales and marketing, are now all available online through the Fáilte Ireland Business Support Hub, where you can search by sector for the supports and the areas most relevant to your business. If you do need further advice or require guidance on any tailored support for your business, please contact your local Fáilte Ireland representative or email business supports on business.supports@fáilteireland.ie. We are now going over to the Q&A panel. I'd now like to hand you over to Liz Halpin, who's head of Dublin.
Okay. Thanks, Martina. Welcome to everybody this morning. I hope you've really enjoyed all of the content so far. I'm sitting on a panel this morning with Jill from our research team, Paul Kelly, our CEO, Ali Levins and Tara Kerry. So lots of questions coming in, so we might just kick off with one of the burning questions, Paul, for you, which has come in very much from our industry over the last number of weeks, is related to financial supports. And do you feel that there will be government financial support specifically for the tourism sector coming our way?
Thanks very much, Liz. And just before I come to answer that, if I can, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge again how challenging we appreciate it is for everyone in the industry, and the challenges that are going to lie ahead as well. But also to say, over the last number of months, we've worked with our own department and various other departments across government, and just take a moment, if I can, to thank them for their support. The range of things that the people in government and across the various departments have had to deal with, and the manner in which they've gone about dealing with them has been really, really impressive. And I'd just like to thank all those teams and all those departments for their work, and also and even more so from my own point of view, I'd like to acknowledge my own team in Fáilte Ireland, the team we have that work with us. I have been blown away by the level of commitment and passion and energy and the quantity of work. Hopefully you'll have seen that today and get that sense of all of that work. But the early mornings, the late nights, the weekends, the always been on has been phenomenal over the last number of months, and relentless within the team of Fáilte Ireland. And I've been so proud and so privileged to work with the Fáilte Ireland team. And I just think it was important to acknowledge that and to say a massive thank you, and know that on your behalf, on the industry's behalf, and on behalf of tourism in Ireland, they are an incredibly committed bunch, and I'm so happy to have the privilege of working with them. So to come to the question then around government supports, look, we're hopeful, like everyone. I think we're all waiting with bated breath for what's going to be in this July stimulus package. I think we're all hoping that we are going to have a government next week, that a new government that's going to be able to implement and legislate around the implementation of a July stimulus package, and we all hope that there's going to be significant supports for tourism within that. We within Fáilte Ireland have put in a number of specific proposals in that. We've put in proposals for grant support to help businesses cover some of the costs that they've incurred while they've been closed. We've put in supports, a request for supports for grants to help businesses cover the costs required in adapting their business to the COVID world. And we've also put in a request for supports around working capital loans that would work well for tourism industry in terms of low interest, long repayment periods and state-backed guarantees. So in terms of, it is important to say that that Fáilte Ireland is we are an agent of the state. We implement policy. The remit of policy is the remit of government and the remit of government departments. Our remit is really around implementing that policy, and those decisions are really policy decisions. So what we really try and do is take the feedback from industry, collate it, help give our perspective to it, and feed it into those policymakers who make those decisions. So look, I think like everyone, we are hopeful that something substantial and meaningful, in addition to what's already been done, will come out in July across a range of measures. But in terms of, as I say, we're just waiting like everyone else to hear about that.
Thanks, Paul. I suppose one of the key measures that government put in place was the wage subsidy scheme, and I'm just wondering, from a National Tourism Task Force recovery perspective, is that on the agenda?
Yeah, we're delighted to participate and support the work of the Tourism Recovery Task Force, and absolutely the extension of the temporary wage subsidy scheme, the issue about seasonal workers being able to take part in the wage subsidy scheme, that is very much on the agenda of the Tourism Recovery Task Force. It's been something that we've been feeding in as feedback from industry from the outset. And I suppose, obviously, as we face into a period where we're going to have less overseas visitors, which is going to be particularly challenging for Dublin, obviously, because of how much Dublin relies on overseas visitors. But so with the challenges of social distancing and the costs associated with implementing all that, we think that the continuation of those type of supports would be exceptionally helpful to industry and exceptionally important to maintaining employment and keeping businesses up and running.
Thanks, Paul. And if you just see me scrolling through here, I'm just going through all your questions. There's been lots of questions about how people can get involved in the new marketing campaign. So maybe, Ali, if you could give everybody an outline.
Try my best. So I hope you saw in terms of the campaigns that we presented earlier on, just the breadth and scale of them. So, you know, we've sort of done a rough calculation. There's opportunity for hundreds of businesses across the country to get involved. And obviously for Dublin businesses, we really would encourage you to send in as much information as possible so that we know who's open and what's on. And then we will feed that into our system. So that's probably the first ask, is lots of opportunity for lots of different types of businesses to be involved. And for Dublin businesses, that is either part of Make a Break or what we're calling our working title of Dublin for Dubliners. And then obviously later on in the year when we come back in to keep discovering. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you know, we're going to send out as part of a follow-up to today a digital toolkit particularly for Make a Break in the first instance. And there will be advice there in terms of, you know, social assets. So hashtags around Make a Break, hashtag feels bigger. And also social gifts and things like that. When we launched Keep Discovering in February, we were trending #1 for that weekend. And that was as a result of the support that the industry gave us. And we're really hoping this weekend that you'll get behind us and make the campaign really famous as well. What we're trying to do is make it as famous for people, and that social proof about going on your holidays in Ireland or taking a day trip to visit attraction or have an experience is really important. So that would be another ask that we'd ask of you. So lots of opportunities. We'll be working directly with our regional heads to put that plan in place over the next week or so.
And just to say that the Dublin team will be in contact with people closer to the time to give you a better idea of when Dublin will feature as part of the national campaign, and more information then on the Dublin specific campaign. Also to mention that Paul Moakler's team in commercial development are currently pulling together a tactical sales campaign very much focused on driving conversion. And in the coming weeks, we'll give you more information about that as well. But just to be assured that it will be across a significant range of platforms. So we're really excited about that, and we'll keep you posted. Now, Ali, you just touched on it there, but there is a question here specifically about, is Dublin for Dubliners the name of the campaign? So you might just clarify that for people.
Dublin for Dubliners is just a working title, and we're just finalising the final creative proposition. It'll probably be something sitting within Dublin Feels Bigger. One other call to action that we will be using, it will be to visit Dublin.com. It won't be to Discover Ireland for the Dublin specific campaign. So it will be to visit Dublin. That's why it's really important that we have all those listings up to date on our system.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jill, in terms of I think the industry really felt the benefit of getting your sentiment reports, and I'm just wondering, is there a plan to continue doing that sentiment surveys over the course of the next few months?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. As I was saying, we've been tracking for a very long time, and we're going to continue doing that, not just in the sort of space of where consumers' heads are and how they're feeling, but understanding really critically the intent. And I think importantly, from a Dublin point of view, we're going to be looking really closely at people coming into Dublin, what is happening within Dublin, and the opportunity within our visitors and experiences and attractions to understand that experience and how we can actually build value, etc., into them. We actually have a lovely report that's coming out tomorrow. It'll come out with the documents we will share, and that's an executive summary of a big piece that we shared earlier this week within the business. And that's going to talk very much not just about the key metrics, so the intent and all the rest of it we're tracking, but the implications and perhaps the opportunities for our different partners and for the trade.
Thanks, Jill. Tara, a couple of questions for you. So people are asking that, given that we're in a few days of opening, do staff have to complete the COVID-19 safety charter in the next few days?
Good afternoon, all. No, the staff don't have to complete it within the next couple of days. However, we would advise businesses to actually get staff to complete as soon as possible, because the whole objective behind this particular course and behind the charter is to instill consumer confidence. And where we are very conscious of the fact that on the 29th, which is great to see, so many businesses will reopen, we do understand that it will take a little bit longer for certain businesses. But if I was to give any little bit of advice at all, if anybody has an hour free, it's an interesting course. They'll get it done quickly, and they'll know a lot more about COVID-19 and how to prevent infection if they do it.
Brilliant. And Tara, maybe just to lead on for that then, people are asking about if not all of their staff are coming back at reopening and they're coming back on a phased basis. What does that mean in terms of the safety charter?
Well, what we're advising is that as soon as you know how many staff you're going to be able to take back, because we're very well aware there's going to be quite a number of staff that can't come back in the immediate term, but may come back within a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So start with the number of staff that you have returning, and that will allow you then to actually get the charter. But everyone, I think, will see the benefit of ensuring that all staff that return, whether it be full-time or part-time staff, actually complete it as soon as possible. And there will be an opportunity on the system for you to add in staff as they return. It could be 1 staff member or it could be 10 staff members.
And finally then, Tara, there's a question about my business isn't listed with Fáilte Ireland. Is this training logo available to me?
Well, as a lot of people will be aware, Fáilte Ireland, in association with a number of industry bodies, have produced a number of guidelines for reopening, and those are all available on the FáilteIreland.ie website. So each business can go in and see if their sector is listed. In the event that they're an accommodation business and they're not listed on the Fáilte Ireland or Discover Ireland sites, we would welcome a call from them. We'll talk through the benefits of becoming members of the National Quality Assurance Framework. Very simple process. We'd be delighted to invite you all in, so feel very free to make contact with us, and all of the information is on the FáilteIreland.ie website.
Thanks, Tara. And Paul, back over to you. You mentioned how important international business is for the Dublin market. Just wondering, there's been questions about the quarantine measures, and just wondering if you can share a view with us on that.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, obviously, you know, the 14-day self-isolation measure effectively means that there isn't any overseas tourists coming in, and you know, we would fully support the recommendations of the Aviation Recovery Task Force, which has been set up in parallel to the Tourism Recovery Task Force and is linked in very well to that. And you know, in terms of what they are looking at is you know, calling for you know, appropriate when they can be eased in line with public health criteria, that source markets, if you like, where visitors might be coming from, where it's safe to open up routes, air bridges or air bubbles, they're referred to in different kind of categories, in different settings, that they are allowed to come in, and that different methods such as, you know, testing and tracing and things are used instead of the 14-day self-isolation. So, you know, it is from a tourism economy point of view, and for everywhere in Ireland, but particularly for Dublin, getting that international visitor coming back in is so important. So as soon as, you know, in terms of anything that can be done to carefully and selectively ease those restrictions and bring them back in, obviously, for, you know, as a tourism agency, we'd love to see that. I'd love to see that happening, and we fully support the recommendations of the Aviation Recovery Task Force there.
Thanks, Paul. And just maybe back to the national campaign, Ali, there's a question here. How do you see Dublin for Dubliners helping to promote bed nights in Dublin? Okay. Or will the bed nights come from the Make a Break for It campaign?
That's right. So when we were looking at, you know, this specific job to be done in Dublin, and as Paul mentioned, how acutely Dublin has been impacted from a tourism perspective, we realised there was sort of 2 discrete things we needed to work on. One was bed nights, which is really going to fall under the remit of the Make a Break for It campaign, and that is a national campaign encouraging people to come and experience Dublin as a city break. I mean, to put this into context, we know Irish people spend almost $7 billion a year going on overseas holidays, and city breaks would form a large part of that. We believe Dublin can, you know, play a substitution role for those in an amazing way. So that's going to form part of the strategy over the next months and years to come. But we also know in the short term, until we get that footfall back up from a bed night perspective, that there is a captive audience that live in Dublin, 1.2 million in the greater Dublin area, who haven't probably had a chance to really experience the city and all the wonderful things that there are to do and see. So hence the additional campaign for Dublin is very much focused on footfall and revenue rather than specifically bed nights.
Brilliant, and I have to say we're delighted to have a specific campaign for Dublin. Lastly then, Ali, to you is about Northern Ireland, and will Northern Ireland be part of the campaign?
Okay. So we've been really conscious about understanding different jurisdictions and different markets and when would be appropriate to look to encourage or to market Ireland as a destination. Glad to say that Northern Ireland from next week will form part of the Make a Break for campaign, and we will be putting that content on air. We know again from a Dublin perspective that Northern Ireland visitor is really important. Northern Ireland visitors love coming to Dublin, so that will be forming part of Make a Break from next week.
Brilliant, thank you. Tara, one last one for you. How will Fáilte Ireland ensure compliance with the safety charter?
Well, we will instigate a spot checking process. We're working up the final details on that at the moment, and we will be communicating that out to industry. But yes, we will be ensuring compliance through spot check. But our assessors, when they go out, as always, will be there to work with businesses and to assist where possible.
Thanks, Tara. So still lots of questions coming in, but I'm afraid we need to wrap up soon. So before I do that, I just wonder, Paul, I might hand over to you to see if you have any closing message for the Dublin industry.
Yeah, well, just first of all to say thank you very much, everyone, for logging on this morning and joining us virtually. I think we have over 400 or something people joining us today. So thank you very much, everyone, for lending us your time and your ear. I appreciate how incredibly busy this is for all of you. So thank you very much for that. And I suppose, look, I just wanted to wish everyone the best. As people, as businesses reopen, and I wanted to make, let you all know we're thinking of you. We're there to support you, and just to say, look, we hope that it goes as well as possible for you, and we appreciate how challenging it's going to be. And just to say, look, we're I spoke earlier about the commitment and dedication of the Fáilte team, and that's not going to stop. I know Liz and her team in Dublin and all of in the Dublin region and all of the teams in Fáilte Ireland are going to be standing shoulder to shoulder with all of our industry partners and colleagues as you reopen, and we'll be there to do whatever we possibly can to help navigate the challenges ahead. It is going to be different. And it is going to require us all to be open and change orientated, and no more than we've all experienced that we used to be able to go to a supermarket without having to stand outside in queue before we could get into the supermarket. So it is going to be different, and the experience in tourism and hospitality, and you guys know more than anything, we are going to have to adapt to that world, and that will be difficult, and we'll have to figure things out as we go along. And there's so much that we've tried to provide as much clarity as we can, but there's so much that none of us know the answers to yet, and we're going to have to figure those out as we go along, and as public health advice changes, etc. So just to say, we'll be standing shoulder to shoulder with you and doing everything we can to help make that as easy as possible as it can be. So just to once again say thank you very much for your support and for joining us today.
Thanks, Paul. And maybe I might just wrap up by thanking all of our speakers on the panel this morning, and thanks to Kerr and Martina, who did, I think, fantastic presentations. I hope you all got an awful lot out of today. There will be a follow-up from today's event. There will be an event guide that you'll all receive, and also all of the sessions from this morning have been filmed, so they have been recorded, and they will be up on our website from tomorrow. So just to echo Paul's sentiments, we wish you the very best of luck as you reopen your businesses. From a Dublin team perspective, we are really looking forward to getting back out to see you all in person in the coming weeks. Until then, we will wish you a good afternoon, and I'll just hand you over to Minister Brendan Griffin to have a closing message.
Hi everybody, I'm delighted to be asked today to record this short message as part of Fáilte Ireland's Virtual Industry Day. I know that the last number of months have been extremely difficult and challenging for people, but today marks an important milestone as we prepare to reopen for business, and I hope that you will find today's session to be informative and helpful. The government is extremely concerned about the huge challenges that lie ahead, and I'm absolutely aware of the huge impact that has been made on the tourism industry since the arrival of COVID-19. That's why the work of the Tourism Recovery Task Force is critically important, and it's also hugely important that every good idea is brought forward and given full consideration, and that ultimately the report of the Tourism Recovery Task Force is acted upon. And that's something that I'm passionate about, because we will need to see that action to ensure that tourism recovers to the optimum level in this country. But today I'm very encouraged to see the Safety Initiative Charter from Fáilte Ireland, and also as well the details of Fáilte Ireland's 2020 domestic marketing campaign. We know that the domestic market for the remainder of this season is going to be hugely important, and will also be important in years to come as well. And I want to commend all of the team in Fáilte Ireland for the huge work that they've been doing throughout the COVID crisis, and also the work that they've done in preparation for today, and the work that will be needed to be done over the coming weeks and months as we try to recover from this huge shock that has befallen the entire industry. To all of you operators on the ground, I can assure you that I will be doing my very best to try to ensure as many supports as possible for you into the future. We have had some supports to date, and I know that many more are needed. And I wish you all the very best as business reopens, and hopefully look forward to seeing many of you throughout Ireland in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you.